Greetings from Storybrooke. I'm Bobby Hawk.
I'm Tony Hooper.
And I'm Monica Jones.
And this is the land where Lucy is like her father and she takes everything. Everything way too far. We also talked about the series Once Upon a Time. How is everything going today, guys?
No.
Well enough.
Well,
exactly. Yeah, I'm a little under the weather. So I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but I definitely had better days as far as that's concerned. We're starting a little late, unfortunately, a few little technical hiccups tonight. But unfortunately, we're down a person. Elizabeth couldn't join us tonight. She's had a lot going on with, I believe it was her boyfriend's son's birthday this weekend. So happy birthday! I can't, don't know his name, unfortunately. So
happy birthday!
But I'm sure she'll be back with us next week. But anyway, the show must go on. That being said, Tony, why don't you take it away with this week's rhyming summary?
Sure thing. As soon as I can just, get my device to act right. Give me 1 second.
Like I said, technical issues.
Technical issues at its finest. Okay, so season 7, episode 2. Cinderella.
I think it's
I'm
episode.
sorry.
It's like episode.
I'm stuck in the past.
3.
Episode 3. My bad. You guys, I'm stuck in the past.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I just didn't want okay, go ahead.
Gotcha. All right, so Cinderella is on the run, but she didn't kill the prince. Tiana believes her. She's a part of the resistance. Tremaine blames Cindy for killing her daughter, and she's going to bring her back come hell or high water. Back in the Heights, Jacinda starts a petition, but Belfry has already sped up her plans for demolition. This and much more all come to pass in this week's episode of Garden of Forking Paths.
I will never look at the word forking the same way again after watching Good Place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When I saw the episode name, I was like, I hope Bill's laughing his butt off as much as I am at that.
I just know, there's been a few times in the past that I have slipped. That may be part of the reason that I had I've had Tony read the rhyming summary this week, because I know that if I say that word too many times, I know that word may not come out the same way.
Tracking.
We'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. Yes, I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan, Monica. Yes.
Oh my god.
Thrill?
Oh my god.
Anywho, spoiler alert, I don't know about you guys, but this week's episode was kind of a slog to get through, to be quite honest with you. And that may be part of the technical issues I was having. It was I don't even know.
You know what? It wasn't that exciting the first time.
Oh, okay. Here's what I'll say. When I sit down to write the outline for our podcast, I tend to have to watch the episode a few times through to get the outline and whatnot. And I watched the episode live. I even live tweeted it. Mm-hmm. But when it came to like Saturday, when it was time to like get up and start writing the outline, it was just kind of like, there are other things to do. I've got yard work, and I could do this, and like things I didn't even want to do were making their way up on the list.
Much more sense.
Yeah. So yeah, but like Tony said, actually, when I did watch it a second and third time, especially at the end of the episode, there was quite a. I'm not going to say there was quite a bit, but there was definitely things happening in this episode that made this not necessarily just a filler episode that could be ignored.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
But that being said, there was definitely quite a bit of this episode that was just kind of down to like a 5-minute episode, and we'd be fine with it.
Definitely.
But maybe that's exaggerating. But we'll touch on all that as we go through our notes here. Let me see. Starting off. At the apartment, Jacinda reads. Oh, that's another thing I meant to. They never mention it, but in closed captions, I had closed captions on, and Sabine, I think is what Tiana's name is.
Oh,
Is it? Yeah. Yes.
Like I saw,
Okay.
I just like you know how sometimes in closed captions it'll have like the person's name before they start talking. So like it said that, and I was like, oh wait a second, and you know I had to rewind it. I was like, oh, okay, you know they never say her name still, but
Never.
Sabine.
No.
So I could stop calling her Tiana when she's in Seattle.
I'm still gonna call her Tiana.
Pretty much. And I'm still waiting for her flashback episode.
Anyway,
I would love that.
in the realms, Cinderella searches for Henry where they first met when she is attacked by one of the king's men. She is helped by one of the girls from the ball who introduces herself as Tiana. At the apartment, Jacinda reads Sabine a letter from Lucy. They have been leaving notes at the well, so Victoria doesn't know. Ronnie calls the team together for some info. She overheard someone who works for the building commissioner saying they are being paid by Belfry. Rogers makes plans for a stakeout. Henry offers to help, but Rogers suggests he sticks to research and bear claws. As Jacinda arrives at the garden with another letter, we flash to when Tiana and Cinderella first met. Tiana reveals herself as the leader of a rebel alliance meant to overthrow the king and her stepmother. She tells her that Tremaine is responsible for her father's death. Cinderella does not seem surprised. She agrees to join her at the resistance camp, leaving her slipper so Henry knows to find them. At the garden, Victoria surprises Jacinda with a demo crew. She knows about the letters and she's moved up plans for the towers. Demolition starts today. All right, so that basically takes us up through our cold open and into the first act break. So my guess only one of the things I really had to say here is Henry's reaction during that meeting in the bar and everything else reminded me of the Zeppo, right down to the pastries. I don't know if either of you Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode where yeah, I know, where Xander there's like a whole episode about just Xander. Because like there's like an end of the world thing going on, and like he comes in to ask what he can do to help, and they like send him out for donuts.
Oh, is that the one where he talks Willow out of ending the world?
No. That's the 6th season. This is more like in like the 2nd or 3rd, maybe even 4th season. It's an episode where like they cut between what's going on with Xander and what's going on with them. Like they brush Xander off to go do like, hey, go get us some donuts, but they're not brushing him off. They're just trying to keep him safe because they, you know, they're about to. But then when he goes off, he ends up like there's like a bomb about to go off in the school, and he stops that from happening. You know, like they don't realize it, but he has this whole other end of the world thing going on that you know. He keeps trying to come in and get their help with, but they keep rushing him off. And but yeah, that's
I'm gonna go back and watch that one.
Definitely.
I love Xander.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, like you said, ding. Tony, what do you have to add about this first act?
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go a little bit off subject, but you know what? To be honest with you, it just seems like the way that Henry was brushed off about sticking to research and donuts kind of reminds me of how he usually gets treated with trying to tell everybody, hey, I know what to do. Like, let me help you. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it just seems like, Jesus, it just doesn't matter what realm Henry's in. Cursed or not cursed.
Or not even age. Like before in the past, you could be like, okay, well, he's a kid, so they're trying to. But no, now he's, 30. I mean, he's got to be at least 28, 30 with a kid like that age and everything.
Seriously.
So, yeah, I mean, he should be able to help out.
Help out and do more. Yeah. But my actual point to this, though, so basically with, let me see here. After, Hook leaving and everything, going back to to the precinct. He's doing stakeouts like how Emma would, and there's plenty of similarities in this episode. So I think not only can we call this the Garden of Forking Paths episode, but we can call this a similarities episode too.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started with the similarities. I've got a note on that later, but we'll touch on that. I kind of hope that they're done with the similarities at this point, but we'll
definitely. See. And also, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And also, I really wish how you mentioned her name earlier during the cold opening, that they would actually do Tiana's story. She's been here for almost 4 episodes and still no backstory. Still waiting on that.
Here's my concern as far as I know. Okay, and off camera, off mic talk was like we were kind of discussing amongst ourselves about Tiana and the Princess and the Frog and everything. That's one of the I'm a Disney fan. That's one of the few that I've missed. So I don't know if I don't know what I was where I was going there for a second. I lost my train of thought. I don't have the same fondness for the character as you guys do. Now I know that the first when they brought the character on, she wasn't necessarily a full-blown regular, and they've moved her up to regular status. So I have a feeling that at least in these first few episodes, we're not going to get a whole lot of Tiana's story more than we just saw. She kind of almost gave us her backstory during this episode.
Definitely.
Quite a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah,
right. That's not to say more of it won't be addressed later in the season. I just don't think I'd hold my breath for it to happen in the next episode or two.
Too true. I agree.
That being said, let's move on with this week's story. As Rogers gets the info he needs, Weaver asks for help with evidence. He makes up an excuse about a court case that Weaver obviously doesn't buy. As Rogers sits outside the theater, he witnesses Belfry pass off her bribe. From a distance, we see that Weaver has seen him as well. Jacinda arrives at Ronnie's to ask to help with the garden. Ronnie does some math and realizes that that's what the payout was for. She suggests Jacinda put together a petition with enough signatures so they can stop Belfry. In the realms, Cinderella makes herself at home in the resistance camp. Tiana introduces her to a cobbler, the truest believer in their cause. She comes to tell Cinderella that Tremaine has been gathering magic artifacts. She shows her a picture of an item that her men have had a hard time identifying. Cinderella obviously recognizes it, but says she has no idea. Henry and friends show up to join in the fight. Henry's getting his research on at Ronnie's. Henry's getting his research on at Ronnie's when she's come to tell him that her mom has been collecting signatures for the garden. This must mean she's starting to believe. Lucy suggests this isn't about the condos at all, but what's underneath the garden. She thinks there's something underneath there that will help them believe. Like when Henry led Archie down to the Storybrooke mines, but that was just a book, right? Or a show. Just then a digging machine uncovers an opening. Lucy runs in to investigate, and Henry rushes in after her. Enough already with the first season parallels. Like you were seeing earlier, Tony, we totally get that. We understand that, this is... same as it ever was, over and over again. Let's just move on with what's going on with this story. Tony, do you have anything to add?
Most definitely. And I'm going to probably relay it again, a little bit later, but enough with the parallels and everything. I mean, we get it. It's the same. We don't have to, go back and touch upon a life we forgot. It only happened 6 years ago. And
she even points it out. That's what I hate, is that it has to be pointed out. It's like, no, we get it.
We get it.
It's like when a bad comedian tells a joke and then gets mad at the audience for not laughing and tries to explain himself. It's like, no, we understood what you were trying to do.
but you failed.
Yeah, exactly. But beyond that, you had a question about the truest believer.
Yes, actually, I did have a question about the truest believer. I thought that was part of the next point, but
I don't believe so. We just had it could be, because they do talk about the truest believer in the next.
Yes. Okay. So basically, is there more than one truest believer? Because basically, we got Henry. He's what we would probably call the original truest believer. But can there be another truest believer in another realm, and also can there be more than one in one realm?
Okay, I kind of see where you're coming from now that you're explaining it a bit better. That I mean, Henry isn't even from this realm, so if they're looking for magic that affects this realm and looking for the truest believer, then they should be looking for someone who's the truest believer of that realm.
Right.
I understand.
Or is that an official title versus just Tiana saying, "Oh, here and now in this cause"?
I don't know.
The most ardent of us.
Right. I mean, there was more than one savior. So why couldn't there be more than one truest believer? Yeah, so I totally understand what you're saying there. Now, I don't know, if necessarily the cobbler would have worked as far as that's concerned, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
I mean, and also for the fact of the matter is, if you remember back in their interviews in previous seasons on how they were going through each season saying, we're going to discuss this season about the mythology of the Dark Ones. Now we're going to do the mythology of the Saviors. Could they possibly be trying to do the mythology of the truest believer, if that even, is even that important to discuss? Because, it just still, it's just still bringing to that question. Is there more than one actual truest believer? Are they that important to have in every single realm?
No, I could definitely see that. I think unfortunately it's probably more than likely just going to be pertaining to just this episode, because they definitely did the whole pointing out things a lot in this episode, such as oh, this is Jeremiah, he's the truest believer. Why would you even introduce someone as that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, I don't get it either, because she specifically said, "Hey, here's Jeremiah the cobbler, which one of the true not one of them. I think
she said he is the truest believer in our cause,
in our cause." So I mean, maybe that was just saying he believes so much in our cause, and not naming him as a specific
No, that's the way I heard it.
No, and I totally understand that, but that's it was like they used that phrasing so that it could be planted that Jacinda or Cinderella at that point would, go back later and do what she does here in our next act. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it felt a bit forced, like you said. It's like, why, like I said, why? It's not like that's a common turn of phrase. Why would you even call someone that?
I mean, shouldn't everybody be a very true believer to this cause in order for
especially with something like this going on? Yeah, right.
It's just quite weird,
Did you have anything to add before we moved on, Monica?
No, not till the next point.
Okay. All right, so moving on. Roger surprises the building committee. Make sure I'm in the right spot here. All right. Rogers surprises the building commissioner at lunch and questions him about Belfry. He offers Rogers a bribe, but he decides to bring him in. Beneath the garden, Henry tries to tell Lucy that this is all just old parts of the city that were built over. While that may be true, Lucy says that doesn't mean there isn't something magical hidden down here. They just have to believe. Meanwhile, a line starts to form as Jacinda continues to gather signatures to save the garden. At the resistance camp, the gang make plans to storm the manor. Cinderella continues to look coy, which is why it's no shock when she decides to leave later, alone. Underground, Lucy continues to search for something to help them believe. When she finds a piece of glass, a piece of the slipper. Yeah, this proves it all. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, this whole Save the Garden thing feels like it's like straight out of an 80s movie. You know, the whole petition and all of it. Yeah, it's kind of a bit too saccharine for me. Even in a show, it's all about like hope and you know, good versus evil and all that. And another thing I wanted to add was, you know, of course, the cute lines they seem to add in here. At the bar, Henry says, "Look who's the leader of the people," and Ronnie says, "Oh yes, I'm a regular queen." Again, cute but forced, because like, who says things like that? Who you know, that's not like some weird turn. It's like a normal turn of phrase that didn't make any sense at all. But anyway, Tony, did you have anything to add?
Let me see here. So wait, where are we? Surprising the commissioner, right?
We're on C. You know.
Oh, C. Okay, got you. Okay, so again, similarities. Lucy's just as crazy as her father, jumping down unknown wells.
Yep.
Hey, I believe in a cause so much, I'm gonna jump down a well. Whee! You know, I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm just so like, okay, great similarities. You're just like your father. That's cool. You read a book and you think that this is your father, and you're gonna follow in his footsteps and jump down a well, try to prove a point.
Okay. We all gave Jared Gilmore a bunch of crap in the beginning for his portrayal of young Henry, and I can't remember this actress's name. I want to say like Anna Fernandez or something like that.
I think Allison Fernandez.
Allison Fernandez. Okay, so I was close. But anyway, I liked her in the first few episodes that we saw her in. This episode, she's beginning to wear on me. I think it's because of exactly what you're talking about right now. I think that she's too precocious. She's too I don't even know like how to put it. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely feel like she's beginning to wear a bit thin on me.
Yeah, and it's just too early to do that right now.
Right. Did you have anything to add, Monica?
No, she was jumping down that well.
It sounded like you were like you were enthusiastically agreeing with Tony when he mentioned that.
Yeah.
It just makes perfect sense. Like,
yeah. All right. So, Cinderella. Let me say that again. Cinderella arrives at the manor to find the mysterious object that she obviously recognized. Tremaine is there waiting. She knew she would come. Cinderella wants to know why the coffin is there and what did Tremaine do to her father. She opens the coffin to find Anastasia. Tremaine's other daughter is dead, and somehow Cinderella is responsible. Tremaine had her frozen before she took her last breath. Now she needs Cinderella's help to bring her back. Anna's heart was pure, and she needs a pure heart to bring her back, the heart of the truest believer. She enchants Cinderella's hand to take Henry's heart. If she doesn't, Tremaine will kill everyone at the camp. Jacinda continues her petition when Victoria shows up with an offer. She has a condo set aside for Jacinda and Lucy. All she has to do is burn the petition, and they can put this behind them. She hesitates but sets them ablaze just as Lucy shows up. She can't believe that her mother would do this. Jacinda tries to explain she just wants them to be together, but Lucy runs off saying if this is what it takes, she doesn't want to be with her. Rogers returns to the precinct to see Weaver letting the commissioner go. When he confronts him, Weaver explains the situation needs finesse. Now that they've let him go, whenever Belfry comes to him, he will come to Belfry. All right. So
he will come to Weaver.
Well, Weaver, and I even said that in the thing. I don't know why I said Belfry. You know what I meant. Thank you for correcting me, Monica. All right. So, okay. First off, what was Rogers printing? I guess it was like a picture of commissioner, the building commissioner guy there. But like, why? Why didn't he just tell like either A, just look at the picture? I mean, you can look at the picture and recognize the guy once you see him. Or if you really wanted to be able to compare, just download it to your phone.
Something.
Or take a picture of it with your phone or something. I don't know. I mean, obviously they had to have him printing out something so Weaver could see that. I mean, it was obviously all plot driven, but
oh my God, you would think that they would have like some kind of mobile app to download their assignments or get something from the database, something.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, like why would he even be like he wouldn't even have to go back to the precinct probably. Like you just said, I'm sure that they have access just on their phones to some other database or app or something. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, none of that makes sense. Like him looking at the clock like, oh God, I got to hurry. This thing's got to hurry up and print. What is this, 1987?
Seriously, like I know the town is up and up and coming, an up and coming town, but
yeah, but this is
we have to look like it.
Yeah, that was stupid. That was stupid. Another thing I did want to mention though is that they've gone out of their way to kind of explain how Tremaine is not magical, but for someone who's not magical, she sure uses quite a bit of magic.
And you know what? I have said that so many times. Like for
what
the
was
last few weeks.
What was the point of them even making her not magical if she's just gonna? It's kind of the whole portal thing all over again, What was why would you even come out and say like, oh, we're gonna have a villain that's not magical? And I mean, then to just have her steal a wand and be magical.
Like it never should work. Like her poofing the fairy away, like, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
And then
you're mortal.
And then even without the wand, there's this whole thing with her daughter, which actually you had a few questions about, Tony.
I did. Oh my God. Okay, so question. How many daughters does Tremaine have? She said the prince has eyes for her other daughter, but this one is under preservation. I'm confused. Can someone elaborate? Like, I know that seems very scripted, but that's what I said. But
no,
I really want to know. Can somebody please elaborate for me? How many daughters do you have?
It's a very good question that I didn't even think about. Like the whole, like I've even pointed out in the last episode or two that she said that, and so now for us to find out that that Anastasia is dead. Yes, just I believe it was 2 episodes ago, if not the last episode, that she was saying that, oh, the prince has eyes for my other daughter, and like you said, he only has 2 daughters. So yeah, so now I'm confused. I'm right there with you, Tony. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's something that they just overlooked when they were writing. I mean, I don't see any other way around it, because our Cinderella says that whatever happened with Anastasia happened when they were like 14. Which had to have been a number of years ago. And whatever happened, it was the reason that her father's dead. So Anastasia died before her father died, which has been a while now, because Cinderella has been living under the rule of her stepmother. So that I definitely am with you, right there with you, Tony. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
None whatsoever. And it's just kind of funny that, wait a minute, have you noticed that they also haven't exactly shown the other daughter, like the one that's supposed to be having eyes for the prince, or the prince having eyes for her. So they've only seen, we've only seen what's her face.
The only daughter we've actually seen is Drusilla / Ivy. She's known as Ivy in Hyperion Heights, but she's the 2 stepsisters from the Cinderella story are Anastasia and Drusilla.
And now that we actually see Anastasia, it's just kind of funny. You kind of like, I know this is Once Upon a Time, you guys, but they write in a whole lot of, extra characters that are not even supposedly in these stories, just to make it,
I think Anastasia will come into it later, just because we haven't seen her. All we've seen of her is a veiled corpse. I think eventually we will, see whatever backstory there is there for all of them.
Yeah, I really hope that we do, or either maybe they go on and cast this other daughter that they keep talking about, other than Anastasia.
Yeah, I mean, that it could be as simple as that. It could be that in this story there's 3 daughters, but I really don't think there is. I think it's just the 2, and that they just kind of stepped on their own foot there.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see if they even attempt to address it.
Yeah, you know how they throw away ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like AKA Lily and Maleficent. Oh my god.
Unfortunately. Monica, to give anything to add about this act before we move on?
As far as Lady Tremaine and the whole magic thing, so either she was lying to her daughter in that first episode about eschewing magic, or is she becoming addicted like Rumpel did?
That is a very good point too. That is a very good point.
That's where my thought is going on it is that she's going down that path of no, but this is so easy.
Right.
Getting pulled into
so that when she first started using it, she was, like you just said, eschewing magic, and kind of just like, this is worthless. Who needs this? But now that she's used it,
now that she got that first taste.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's gonna have her cake and eat it too.
We shall see.
Mm-hmm. This is her price for using magic.
That's a very good point. Both of you had very good points on this topic. Both of you, very good points.
I love that. Like who would think that when Rumpel used to say all magic comes with a price? Who knew that using magic, just period, to a person who's never used a bit of magic in her day at all, in her days at all, and then all of a sudden now she's getting addicted to magic. It's crazy.
Well, like she said, just like Rumpel, just like I think are the right means. I would like to see Tremaine in the past. Did she have a past where she wasn't like this, or was it the death of her daughter that made her this way?
Could be. I mean, for her to go through so many great lengths, and for her to be mindful about what's going on.
I read an interesting quote in an article from Gabrielle Anwar, who plays Lady Tremaine, where she said something along the lines of, what's going on here is like Anastasia is her perfect daughter who can do no wrong, even though she's a corpse who literally can do no wrong.
It's like, wait a minute, my daughter can do no wrong because she's sitting there lying there. Like, well, of course she can't do nothing wrong.
So it's like it led me to believe that maybe Anastasia isn't quite as pure as Tremaine, as Tremaine A says she is, or B maybe necessarily just remembers that she is. That she
and nobody can live up to the ghost of the past.
Exactly. And so I don't know. A lot of interesting things going on there. There are a lot of interesting things going on there. So Cinderella comes back to camp. She hovers over Henry, but can't bring herself to do it. She compromises and comes to the cobbler. Just when it looks like she actually might go through with it, Regina shows up to stop her. Jacinda shows up. Okay. I need to stop. Like everything always flows together, and I keep getting confused. What's the realms and what's Seattle? All right. So in Seattle, Jacinda shows up at Ronnie's to drink away her sorrows. Not sure that day drinking is going to help her right now, but who am I to judge? Ronnie offers some advice about sacrifice, and we move on. Down the street, Henry catches up with Lucy, who is apparently free to roam anywhere. As they approach the garden, they see Jacinda has gathered the community to re-sign the petition. Okay, so like I said in the notes there, for a moment, I actually thought Cinderella was going to go through with it. Am I the only one, or?
No.
No.
So neither of you. I mean, you both thought that she would hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For some reason, I kind of felt like this might be like the one thing that she did, and she even kind of went out of her way to kind of justify it a little bit too, where this is an old man who's seen the last of his days anyway. He's wanting to fight for his cause. So if he could give his life for the cause, who's to say that he wouldn't want to do this? She, you definitely saw that, that twist, that, that it's just that small turn that starts leading you down that path, Mm-hmm. And even Regina was like, yeah, that sounds justifiable, but no, you can't, that's not where it ends.
Exactly. It just seems, like I really love how the show points out that everyone has a dark side to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is not always so pure as they always seem to be put out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just as somebody as Henry, could do something very, very bad in the past, and he can still seem pure on the outside. But it's also just like how, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Snow made that terrible mistake of switching lives for Cora and Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes,
she
with
was
the candles.
Right. She was pure of heart, but somebody as pure as Snow White can also inflict a small glimmer of darkness in her pure heart. Mm-hmm. So not everybody's so pure and franked out to be, and I really love how the show, does that. So if there's anything, I love that part.
Jacinda even said so herself earlier in this segment that when she was talking to Lucy, maybe it was the past segment, right after she had burned up the petitions, she said, I'm no hero, I'm just your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that still doesn't justify it, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I didn't say it was justifying what she was doing. I'm just trying to go to prove your point that, even though later she goes on to correct her actions or does what she can to do so, she, there's still, not
They're
everyone.
all people.
Right, exactly.
Definitely.
Did you have anything? Oh, Tony, you looks like you have quite a bit to add here, Tony.
Oh yeah. So basically, come to the end of what I was rambling on about earlier, about how Lucy is just like her father and taking big risks for everybody to believe her and to believe that everything that this book says is real is over the top. Mm-hmm. Like I would really call this thing, very just over to the top, on how she just takes a risk jumping down a dangerous well. Who knows that how far it goes down into the ground? Is she going to be safe when she finally hits the bottom? And it's like, okay, hey, I'm just going to make a jump in this dangerous well to prove my point. Hey, I know you're going to believe me when you say that I'm okay. And another side note, with the way that these mines are, do you guys think that this is an extension of the Dwarf Mines from Storybrooke? Maybe this is how they connect. I just thought it was funny.
I don't know. They definitely look exactly the same.
Seriously. Again, similarities. I think we can definitely call this.
Yeah.
The title similarities.
But this isn't mines. This is just the old city. True. But how does this look? Anything? It's not like I've seen things of like cities built on top of cities, and usually you'd see remnants of the other city under there. I don't really see any remnants of any kind of city where they're at.
Not at all.
I mean, there's some rafters and stuff like you would see in a mine, but there's not storefronts or anything of that nature. But anyhow, yeah. So Monica, did you have anything to add before we move on?
Just on that note, of her jumping down there. I'm going to show my age a little, and yeah, Lucy is clearly not old enough to remember baby Jessica.
Oh my God, I knew you were going there.
And back when
I'm glad. Okay,
Lady Tremaine
hold on a second.
Yeah.
I need to. Elizabeth's not here, so let me play Elizabeth.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Who's baby Jessica? I don't get it. Tony, do you know baby Jessica?
Millennial.
Tony, do you know baby Jessica?
It would be much better if Monica explains it. But go ahead, Monica.
But seriously, no. Without any explanation, I want to know. Do you know who baby Jessica is?
A little bit, not much.
Okay,
not much.
I was only maybe 9 or 10, I think, when it happened.
It was pretty. It was, I don't know, what, 88 maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around there, yeah.
Little baby, like a year old or so, fell down a well and was down there for 24 hours.
It might have been longer than that. It might have been longer than that.
But firefighters and everybody, trying to pull her out, and eventually they did. But it was a while.
Yeah, I think they had to like dig a hole. I think they had to dig like a whole pretty much other well besides the well to like access her from the side because they couldn't pull her up from the top. No one could get down to her because it was so small.
Yeah, such a small hole. Yeah.
Right. It was, and yeah, and they even did a Simpsons episode. That was like a Sting and a bunch of people did like a parody. I think what it was that Bart threw a radio down a well to pretend to like get like sympathy and get money, but then he ended up falling down the well actually, and so yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was kind of a, but yeah. So that's your 80s pop culture moment for this week.
My only other point was about Lady Tremaine and Jacinda and that offering the condo. And I'm screaming at the TV, don't even think about it, because I've dealt with people like this. She will snatch it away either the second you burn the petition, or just the second she bloody feels like it.
In the future, right, yeah.
There's no guarantee that this will ever come to fruition.
Exactly.
Yeah. And even if it does, it could just be pulled out from under you if you don't follow everything she says.
Exactly.
You throwing this away is just having her win. And,
and you're not getting anything in return.
Nothing.
Real.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have. I mean, if we don't have anything else to add with that, we'll go ahead and move on.
Oh no, that was it, because that makes total sense.
No, it does. Yeah, I totally agree on every point.
Crazy.
Regina comes upon Cinderella about to leave in disgrace. She says she should stay and fight. You'd be surprised what people can forgive. They return to camp, and Cinderella tells them that they can't storm the manor. It's a trap. When they ask how she knows, Regina covers, saying that she asked her mirror. Henry, Jacinda, and Lucy enjoy an afternoon stroll through Hyperion Heights. As they go their separate ways, Lucy runs to Henry and gives him the piece of glass. She doesn't think her mom needs it anymore. Besides, in the story, it's the prince who keeps the slipper. She knows he's not going to find his family in a cemetery. They're right here in front of him. As Henry walks alone later, he suddenly comes upon a cemetery that was not there before. As he looks among the stones, he sees two familiar names: Lauren Mills' beloved mother, Abigail Mills. Thank you, guys. Abigail Mills' beloved daughter. At Belfry Towers, Victoria signs for a mysterious coffin-sized package. She opens a secret panel and rides an elevator with the package to the top of her tower. In the tower, she demands a chained figure to come into the light. Victoria has come to tell her prisoner that while digging up the garden, she has finally found Anastasia. and she wants her help to bring her back. The captive asks Belfry if she's willing to pay the price and reminds her that even if you get everything you want, then, quote, you'll still have to deal with me. All right. So there was more going on in that last like 5 minutes than there was in the whole episode. So that's what I meant when I said earlier that we could like probably edit this down to just a few minutes and I'd be completely happy. Okay, I guess to start off with, where did the cemetery? Where do you guys think the cemetery came from? Because like I kind of feel like it just came out of nowhere. Do you think there's someone watching from afar and they, cast a spell to make the cemetery appear, or do you think it's like some weird thing with the curse that like realized that it needed to appear, but it wasn't? Why wasn't it there before? Why is it there now? I just so many questions.
Who said it wasn't there before? I mean, because Henry hasn't walked the entirety of Hyperion Heights in
I don't know.
3 episodes.
Well, okay. First of all, Hyperion Heights seems to be a pretty small suburb, so him being able to walk, whatever seems, not undoable. I'm sure Hook came across this cemetery when he was looking for names. If the cemetery was there before. Well, no, I think he searched. But I mean, so if this cemetery was there before, even if he didn't have names to go off of, like Monica pointed out last episode, the last names are Mills. So if you're you know what I'm saying? If you're searching for someone's family and you come across a new set of gravestones for a mother and daughter with the last name Mills, I'd be like, I didn't find anything, but there was this weird coincidence,
Yeah, definitely.
So it just feels like the cemetery kind of just popped up out of nowhere. That's why in my recap, I kind of point out that it kind of feels like he walked to this area before, and then like all of a sudden the cemetery was there.
I was just thinking that maybe that it had been there all along, and maybe it was just covered up until Henry needed to come to that realization, maybe, or maybe it just could have been maybe somebody's watching from a distance and say, okay, now it's time to bring him back to reality, that nothing's going to change. Your family's dead, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm ready to show you, basically. Like, who knows? Like, maybe it could have been covered there, or maybe he really just stumbled onto it and nobody else could find it.
Did you have anything to add about the cemetery, Monica?
There's no birth or death dates on the gravestones for either of them.
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense either.
Back to what Elizabeth had said, that one of the creators said about their carefully constructed timeline.
Oh God! Don't even get me started. Yeah, don't even get me started. Don't. Okay.
I think I saw those tweets from someone.
No, I did. I saw and Adam Horowitz tweeted back saying, "Our writers, our writing room has a carefully constructed timeline," and I think they even did mention something in the tweet about like releasing it at a later date, and it was just like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I'm not going to believe it even if I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like
you retrofitted it.
They cannot say that they cannot say that they've kept up with their whole timeline for 7 years and never did no wrong.
Okay, so then let me see, Tony, what did you add? Okay, you wanted to add something about the petition?
Let's see. Oh yeah. So can I say the whole point or?
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. All right. So first of all, I had no idea, absolutely no idea what they were really digging for. I thought that she was basically, going on about, building up some new condos to move in more people, because as you guys remember, the first episode, Ronnie made the statement, and I do believe that Lucy also made the statement that she's bringing people in, moving out the fairy tale characters and all that. You know, I thought that she was just building from there.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seemed like, you know, how we found out that she was really looking for her daughter's coffin.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. So, okay, so basically, so because you notice she also stopped demolition afterwards, because, you know, I don't think it was for petition reasons. I don't think she would have never stopped until she found what she was looking for.
Okay.
You know, and then I also thought it was cool how they used the "Coming to the Light" quote from Eunice.
All right. Okay, so on that last note,
The irony.
On that last note, I think we're going to be talking quite a bit here on just that last minute or two of screen time with Belfry walking into her tower. So before we do, is there anything you wanted to add beyond that point, Monica? About
no,
okay,
no, that's the end of my notes.
All right. So let's discuss what was going on in that tower. All right. So first of all, there was never anyone named or anything. First, when I first saw that character, I thought to myself, like, okay, so is this, like, is it someone's daughter? Is this maybe Hook's daughter? You know, I mean, we were told that his daughter was locked in a tower. So that's where my mind first went. So I went ahead and looked on IMDb. I want to say the actress's name was Emma Bloom, if I'm not mistaken. But apparently she's going to be in like 10 episodes, like pretty much the next 10 episodes of Once Upon a Time. And the character's name, the only name they have for her in IMDb right now is Witch.
Of course.
So
keeping it concealed, and then they'll go back and change it.
Now that's kind of an ironic twist that this person has a witch locked in her tower as opposed to a witch having someone else locked in their tower. You know what I'm saying? So kind of the backwards twist on that. I don't know. My mind still kind of thinks it might be Hook's daughter. You know,
I can agree on that too. I mean, now they're being presented with it.
At first, I was like, I don't know, she's a little old for that. But then you have to remember, wait a second, Hook was pretty old before he became who he is now.
Right.
So, you know, who's to say how old his daughter is that's locked in this tower? You know, it's so, you know, that lends a little bit of credence to my theory there. But so all I know for now, for certain, is that this is Witch. And, you know, she obviously seemed to have some sort of powers because just through context, it seemed to be that that's why Belfry had her around because she was going to somehow help her bring back Anastasia.
Now, see,
I like that. Yeah,
I really do too.
Do you guys have anything else to add or any other theories or anything?
Yeah, here comes a thought. Belfry's kind of sort of awake already.
Well, obviously, yeah. Yes. I mean, just like Regina, parallels, but
parallels, man. I'm telling you, I'm done with the parallels.
Just like Regina from the first season. It doesn't seem though that Weaver / Rumple is. Have you seen the promos for next week?
No.
Yes, I have.
Okay. You know, just from the minute or two I've seen, spoiler alert. I mean, it does. You know, obviously, I believe the next episode is called Beauty. So this is the episode that's going to have Gideon and Belle in it,
supposedly,
and is going to deal with Rumple's, you know, story leading up to now, between then and now, and
Alice.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Alice / Tilly seems to be also someone who is quite awake in this town, because in the preview for the episode, she confronts Weaver and like, you know, says something along the lines of "You sent me here" or something like that, or you had, you know, why are you, like, Weaver's like, why are you doing this? And Alice is like, because you told me to,
Mhm.
or something along those lines.
For a person to be so powerful and to have his name known across many different realms, it's kind of funny how he falls up under a curse and doesn't show any sign of being awake until later.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's I guess the opposite of a parallel, because if I'm not mistaken, he was he was awake once he heard the name Emma.
Yeah. So
Which happened
the end of the
fairly
first or second
early.
episode?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, which happened fairly early.
Well, when she finally found the little stay in for grannies, when he said Emma, what a lovely name.
Well, yes, yeah, exactly, yes.
I didn't think he was awake. He didn't seem like he was.
What? But no, that was the key. That was when
that was the little trigger.
Like he left
Emma,
it.
Started him down that path.
Yeah, he left when he cast the spell. He left it. You know, that was his whole thing about knowing names and everything. Like at first, they tried to keep Emma's name from him, and then he, tricked Cinderella or Snow White rather into
sharing the name.
Yeah, and then
when he went all crazy and stuff, I want her name
because he knew. Yeah, exactly that episode. Yeah. But so yeah, I like I said, I mean, for the most part, I wasn't really a big fan of this episode, but it really came through in the end there. So we're left with just a few more questions for the season. Okay, actually, there are. Okay, Tony, I added a new note here for any questions answered in this episode, and you had something to add there.
Yes. This person that's upstairs, I just thought, it was a wild theory. I don't think it's true, and I think really it's more true with Hook. But I say, could this person have something to do with Rumpel? Could he have a daughter we don't know about, or maybe Weaver having a daughter we don't know about?
When I live tweeted, I mentioned, could this be Hook's daughter? And I did get a tweet back from, unfortunately, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I got a tweet back from someone saying something along the lines of more or less what you just said, that they were getting more of a Rumpel vibe from her. But that's
I thought it was just a nod towards. Oh wait, nope. Screw that. Sorry. That didn't happen.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I was just wondering that maybe it's something to do with Rumble more than to do with Hook. I mean, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Hook. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it's nice to know you guys enjoy my theory. We'll see if that plays out or not. But as I was saying, there are some questions we're left for the rest of season 7 still. We still don't know where this new curse came from or who cast it. We still don't know exactly. I believe it was in the last episode. It kind of was implied that Tremaine and Wish Hook may have some sort of past they share, so we don't know what's going on there. Now, like we said, the next question: who is Second Hook's daughter, or is Wish Hook's daughter? There's a theory I've thrown out there that may come to pass. What's Alice's deal? I feel like these next few questions I feel we'll probably get more answers in the next episode, which is what's Alice's deal, and as always, what's Rumpel's deal? Is Ronnie an alcoholic? I think this whole town is an alcoholic by this point.
Yeah.
Because no matter what time of day, unless you're
having a drink.
Yeah. Someone's having a drink.
At first, I was like, well, Henry's there with his laptop, but he's got a coffee. But who's not to say he doesn't have some whiskey in that coffee?
Exactly.
I mean, this is the bar after all. And then Jacinda shows up into the bar at like 4 p.m. No wonder Victoria's keeping her daughter from her.
It just seems like you're an alcoholic.
The bar, and every time they come to Ronnie in the bar, she's doing a shot
with somebody. Like it's just crazy. You would think that you would think that that they would have the person who played Leroy / Grumpy And that he would come over and would be at this local bar. He wouldn't be there as a character. He would just be there as a person who's always drinking.
Like Norm.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wouldn't even know what his name would be in this realm. I mean, it would be crazy.
All right. And then, of course, we have some new questions presented in this episode. Mainly, who is that in Belfry's tower? Why is she there? And what is her deal? Mm-hmm. So, theories. Do you guys have any questions or theories about anything we've presented in this episode? We want to know. But before we get to that, let's get to this week's arbitrary scale. Let's see. Throw out a number out of 462 pieces of out of 462 shards of a glass slipper. Monica, what do you give this week's episode? 400 out of 462.
For 62, 392.
Okay, so that's like 3/4. That's so you give it
85%.
Okay. So
I liked it overall.
An average B.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I've noticed since I started taking notes is the fewer notes I take, the better I like the episode.
Okay.
Because if I'm hating the episode, I'm distracted enough that I'm like, oh, pause, no, like, no, pause, no, what the heck are they doing?
No, I understand.
And I didn't take hardly any notes this time. So, and maybe it's like what you were saying, the slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, yeah, and but I didn't have a problem with what they were presenting.
Okay.
So there's a balance there.
I understand. And okay, so that was what you said, 390 something, I believe.
392.
All right. 392 out of 460. Okay, and how about you, Tony? What do you give this episode?
I'm going to give this episode. What was your number again, Monica?
Mine was 392.
392. Okay.
Out of 460. What was it, Bobby?
462.
462. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. After the second watch, I want to say it went up. Because if I had to really think about it, out of 462 glass slipper shards, it was going to be like 315 if I really had to think about it. But it went up tremendously after giving it a second watch. So I would say about 385.
Okay.
385.
Okay. Okay, as far as I am concerned, I'm right there with you, Tony. When I first watched it, it was a slog. I've mentioned it quite a few times while we were recapping this.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that as we were explaining it, recapping it, taking notes, that especially the last few minutes, there was actually quite a bit going on in this episode, and it was a bit better than I had first thought. So if I was my first watch, I probably might have even scored it in the 200s, to be honest with you. If not at least low threes. But upon further viewing and whatnot, I would say I'm gonna go for 374. I don't know what that works out for, but we're all about in the same general area. High C, low B. This, a slightly above average. Not gonna say this is like the best episode we've ever seen or worse, but just a tick just a tick above average, because and I think that ending definitely kicked it up a notch.
Definitely.
All right. I read your message and I brought it up, and then my phone turned off.
Oops.
All right, so
I just thought I would have given you some time.
What do you guys think? Give us a shout out and let us know what you guys thought of this week's episode. But before we do, let's get on to this week's news and speculations.
Woot woot.
Are you guys muted? So ready. 3, 2, 1.
Woo! Best news jingle ever.
Yeah, I like that. Bill and Anne Marie can still be here in spirit. All right, so still not a whole lot of news going on. I don't know exactly why. I think we already kind of got our deluge of news. Most of the filming has already happened. Maybe once more filming starts happening on the second half of the season, we'll be able to get a bit more news. But that does leave us with the ratings for this week, which unfortunately, after holding steady for 2 weeks with a 0.7 demo, this week we returned with a series low of 0.5 share, which equaled 2.52 million viewers.
Oh no!
And that is live plus 7 day. So yeah, not good news. It would also tied, I believe, for the largest drop for the week from as far as coming down from a 0.7 to a 0.5, so it was a 0.2 drop. It tied with its follow up in Humans on ABC. That doesn't help that everyone hates that show too, so everyone just stays away from ABC on Fridays apparently right now.
No.
Yeah. But it was not the lowest. That honor goes to CW with what's the name of that show? Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I think it had like a 0.2 share. Yeah.
That
so
hurts.
Yeah. But again, this is Friday. It's known for low ratings to begin with. That being said, I mean, there were other. I think even the highest rated show on this night had maybe like a 1.2 share or something like along those lines. It wasn't anything to really write home about, and that was like Hawaii 5-0 or something. But all right, that leads us to the listener questions and feedback, which, of course, again, we have none of this week.
I really thought that she was going to say something like, fortunately, we have something.
No. If we do, I missed it. Guys, we know you're out there. We know you're listening.
Stop hiding.
Yeah,
please.
We love the interaction. We love the feedback. We love to hear from you guys. So much so that we actually do have a small sweepstakes going on. We've been mentioning it for the past 2 weeks. So any listeners who are continuing to listen, we still have that going on until November 4th. We've only got two or three feedbacks to address as far as that's concerned. But November 4th, we'll be doing a drawing. We want to hear from you guys. It's just as simple as writing us on Facebook, writing us on Twitter, writing us at our email, just, dropping us a line, letting us know what you think of the podcast, what you thought of this week's episode of Once Upon a Time. So you can, we want you to get involved with the discussion. We want to hear your theories, your thoughts. We want to hear your crazy, wild, wackadoo tinfoil hat theories about what's going on with this chick in the tower. What does Rumple know he's Weaver? Does Weaver know he's Rumple? We want to hear from you. So you drop us a line at greetingsfromstorybrooke@gmail.com. Twitter is @GFStorybrooke, and then Facebook is facebook.com/greetingsfromstorybrooke. Of course, you can also review us over on iTunes or any other place you wherever you get your podcast at. That'll also helps in our ratings and everything else like that. And beyond
Share us
that,
on your socials.
yeah, share us on socials, hashtag GFS New Book. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing big. And, the sweepstakes is just a few some Funko swag. I believe Tony has a book. What was that book about the Queen, Tony?
Yes, I now have them both with me, So
okay, but yeah, it's something to show our love for the listeners, to show how much we care. Kind of a little bit of listener appreciation. Share the love, and we want to hear from you guys, because sometimes my voice hurts, and it'd be nice to have a break every once in a while.
Stop talking, Bobby. Dang.
Throw a voicemail in here or something. Jeez.
Great. Just do it.
But
Please.
Speaking of my voice being tired, I guess on that note, it's time to head out of here. Tony, where can we catch you on the social medias?
On the social medias, you can catch me on the Twitters at Hoops900. Hoops900.
Okay, and Monica, if anyone wanted to contact you, where would they find you?
I'm on Twitter at Monica Sedai, Sedai.
Excuse me, ma'am. And of course, you can always find me on Twitter at what is my name again? Inevitable Hawk. Inevitable Hawk, HAWKE. You can find me on Facebook at Facebook/ Bobby Hawk, HAWKE. Again, that's my name. And of course, you can always find me every week hosting here at hosting the podcast Greetings to Storybrooke. But until next week, guys. Greetings
from Storybrooke.
Yay!
Come on, spin. There we go. Yeah.
Join us next week.
You gotta come up with lyrics, Tony.
Yep. Gotta join us next week. Join us next week, please.
Please.